And believe me, by the way, and this is a big by the way. You just made my day. I'm proud of you. I am fully aware of how absurd this idea is. It's absurd. I am fully aware of how absurd this idea is. You have permission to think that this idea is absurd. It's absurd. You know what else is absurd? This. The fact that we're all here, totally absurd. The fact that the earth is where it is in relation to the sun, it's totally absurd. This whole thing right here, this is absurd. It's absurd that we exist, that we're aware of our existence. That's absurd too. You know what else is absurd? It's absurd that we're aware of our existence. Think about how absurd that is. It's absurd that we have eyes that see and ears that hear and hearts that beat and lungs that breathe. It's all absurd. All of it's absurd. You know what else is absurd? These things inside of us that we can't explain. Things like love. Explain that one to me. It's absurd. Things like joy, things like hope. Like we have this sense that things could be, should be, ought to be, will one day be better. That's absurd that we have this idea. We have this idea of justice, of how things ought to be in this world. And we know it's not the way things are supposed to be. All of that is flippin' absurd. All of it's totally absurd. The resurrection, it's absurd. You think about all the things that Jesus said and taught and did. It's all absurd. Jesus said, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. That's absurd. Jesus said the first will be last and the last will be first. It's absurd. Totally absurd. Ridiculous. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of God. That's absurd too. You go down to anything Jesus said and did. It's all absurd. So when we say the resurrection really, really happened, that's within a whole long line of things that are totally and completely absurd. Does grace make sense? No. It's all gift. It's all absurd. And maybe that's why it's so awesome.
Boys and the girls and the freaks in the middle.
Don't be preposterous.